You going to put a headset on, or am I doing this alone today?
Figured I'd give you a little company for this.
I think I was a bad host today. I didn't get us any drinks.
Nah,
We're good?
we're all good.
You had those
It's-
salty
I
crackers?
I had enough of a drink. I'm walking over here in
Walking
the
through the
absolutely torrential rain. What's the name of this tropical storm that came and hit us?
Faye.
Faye. Faye's kind of a tame name for a hurricane, don't you think?
It's not a hurricane. It's a tropical storm.
Regardless, Faye is a bit of a tame name.
I think it just works off a list, like a database.
Do they just go by like the first?
It's alphabetical, and then like they have a lot, like a list.
What would be the most?
Like they have the next F names picked out already.
What would be the worst hurricane name that you can think of?
Alberta? No, that's actually a really good one.
Hurricane Alberta. Matter of fact,
Like,
I
if
think
you
that's
hear-
actually happened before.
Yeah.
I think so.
Like if you hear a Hurricane Alberta's coming, like you're fucked.
What about Hurricane Blanche?
Blanche sounds like meh.
Blanche is going to drench you.
Like it might knock like your umbrella off your porch.
Zeus? That would be a good hurricane name, right?
That's like
You
biblical.
want to get into like Greek mythology?
It's like biblical, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
If Hurricane Zeus is coming, you're screwed.
Hurricane Dick?
Richard?
Yeah.
Hurricane Richard?
Hurricane Richard. Hurricane Dick. What's wrong with that?
So, I mean, it's a name. I don't think it's a hurricane name.
It should be.
Might be a tropical storm name.
Mm.
Or a tsunami. Do they name those?
I don't know if they name tsunamis. They definitely name hurricanes, and as we've seen with Faye, they definitely name tropical storms. But I don't know if a tsunami gets a name. Although you would think a tsunami out of the three of those is probably the worst, right? I mean, tsunami just levels everything in its path.
So do some hurricanes.
Absolutely. As we've seen in the past with
Yeah.
Katrina and Sandy, two very tame names that did enormous amounts of damage. Terrible situations in
But
both.
hurricanes are way more frequent, you know?
Hurricanes are more frequent than tropical storms.
And they move and affect a bigger area.
I agree.
Where a tsunami is just, the shoreline.
I agree. But if you're the National Weather Service, the people who tell us and get us pumped up for what's headed our way, what's the name that would instill fear in you when you heard it was coming towards your home? You knew that
Alberta's a really good one.
you had 40 minutes before it hit your base, your home. What's the name that scares you?
Alberta or what's another really scary one?
Scary name.
I mean, like Hurricane Sandy was one of the most devastating ones to our area.
Devastating.
And
But the
that's-
name
I wouldn't have-
Sandy does not instill
I wouldn't
fear.
have thought that was a scary name.
But the name Sandy does not instill fear.
So maybe like Maximus,
Maximus is coming our way.
Hurricane Maximus, category 4.
Cat 4 Max.
Yeah, Maximus.
Maximus.
People, Maxwell.
But all right, but people are going to turn that into Hurricane Max. I don't know if Max is very. I don't think I've ever met a person named Max that was over the age of 7. So, I'm just saying.
Well, it's a young hurricane.
It is. It's a
It's
toddler.
coming for blood.
It's a toddler of a hurricane. Episode 7 of the Garage Party Podcast. Welcome in. This is going to be our UFC 251
Tropical
preview.
Storm Faye.
Tropical Storm
Rich
Faye is
came
headed
in
our
with
way.
his umbrella, which I hate.
So if we
umbrellas.
get cut off, you know that it was not us that cut us off. It was Faye that apparently just took away Billy's apartment here. If we get swept away from Faye,
if we lose power in the middle of this,
That's right.
You'll get this a little late.
you will get it a little late. Most likely after UFC 251 is actually
And
aired.
after Tropical Storm Faye.
And after Faye, that's right. If Faye allows us to give
First.
you our UFC preview, we will give it to you. It's going to come your way in this show. Do you have a joke for us to start the show? You started off.
I was transitioning my way to it, and then you just kind of broke up my vibe.
All right, well, you do your thing.
No. I'll circle back.
Circle back.
I'll circle back.
No.
No.
The joke is not as effective at the end of the show.
No. It was supposed to be like a sneaky one-liner, and it's messed up right now.
Did it have to do with the hurricane?
Yeah. Well, rain in general.
Okay. All right. You can circle back.
You would if you just let it flow. It would.
I mean, you got to give me a heads up.
It was like I wanted it to be natural. It was like two sentences away. We'll build back.
We'll build back. Don't worry. You'll hear Billy's joke of the day coming up soon. Our UFC 251 preview, we've, for lack of a better term, previewed it a lot in our last couple episodes. We've said that we were going to do this as Fight Island and Abu Dhabi got closer, And here we are. This is going to be the UFC 251 preview, episode 7 of the Garage Party Podcast, streaming on Spotify, iTunes, and Soundcloud. A lot's changed since the last time we even discussed the UFC. I think we might have discussed it a little bit 2 episodes ago. I don't think we discussed it last episode at all.
Even before that, there was a lot to unpack that we were saving this entire episode for.
Yeah, so the original UFC 251 card, when it was originally announced months back, when we found out where Yas Island was, it's in Abu Dhabi. Weeks back. Well, I feel like they made the Abu Dhabi announcement probably about a month and a half ago, wouldn't you say?
I think it was like 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. UFC 251, the original card, was built around Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. The two were teammates. They trained together at the same gym. Kamaru Usman, I think we spoke about it a little bit, backed off, went to a different trainer, did the classy thing by allowing Gilbert Burns to kind of get his training in, Kamaru Usman being the champion.
Which we did mention some of that.
We mentioned some of that. We got into a little bit of that a couple weeks back.
And the fact that it was on Yas Island.
Right.
We got into a little bit. And we also thought it was out on the sand.
Yeah, we thought that they were going to be fighting on the beach.
Which is the way they were marketing it. So.
Right, and probably a good job by them because I think that got a lot of people fired up. But
yeah, we were picturing it like on a sunset, a sunrise.
But since that day that we spoke about this, the whole thing has been blown up, completely blown up. Gilbert Burns getting ready to travel to Abu Dhabi, about to get on the flight, the 20-hour flight from Las Vegas McCarran Airport all the way out to Abu Dhabi. Gets a coronavirus test, and lo and behold, positive. Positive test from Gilbert Burns. He's out. The card is in limbo for about 2 to 3 days. Yep.
No shutdowns.
No shutdowns. The card was in limbo for about 2 to 3 days. You heard of rumblings here, but I thought at the time that it was mostly just rumblings from eager fans like Billy who wanted somebody to step in. Instantly. I think you might have been the first one. When you heard Gilbert Burns was out, you, I think, texted me and you said, boom.
I sent you a GIF right away of Game Bread Masvidal.
Right. Jorge Masvidal. Rumors were there. A lot of chatter. A lot of rumblings were there. All of a sudden, Dana White, the best commissioner in professional sports. He gives the fans what they want more than any other commissioner in professional sports. Still takes a lot of shit. Still takes a lot of shit, but you know what? He gets the job done, and he gives the fans exactly what they want 9 times out of 10.
During a pandemic. 9 events.
9 events.
This will be the 9th.
And bought an island to have his international fighters fight. Bought an island. Think about that. Bought it. His. UFC. Yas Island. His.
I don't know if he owns it.
He's renting it out for a long amount of time.
Definitely facilitated a crazy infrastructure.
Absolutely. Everything on that island now, I think, has been put there by the UFC. So anyway, a lot of chatter, a lot of rumblings. Who's going to step in? I remember it was between Jorge Masvidal and perhaps Colby Covington was another name that was thrown out there.
A lot of other people were saying it, and all right, easy boy.
That's our security team right there. He also doubles down as our security.
As soon as this was happening, a lot of people were saying that Jorge really means it, but Colby was just saying it for the popularity, which I 100% agree with. I think Colby just likes to stick his name in there, which I don't think he really would have been down to jump on a plane and fight an international opponent on 6 days' notice and cut weight, as Melo's flipping out.
Yeah.
He would have hopped on the plane.
He probably would have.
He's ready. You hear him?
He is ready. He's ready to fight.
He's ready to fight.
He's ready to fight that other dog in the hallway, it sounds like. It's about to go down. It's almost like you I think he might be the preliminary card for you versus the alligator.
Oh, that's a big card.
Yeah. Stacked card. Taking place right here in Bayside.
But yeah, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal stepping in 6 days notice like a gangster.
Absolutely unbelievable. 6 days notice for Jorge Masvidal. Steps in. He took the fight, took the coronavirus tests, and passed them all. He's ready to go. And today,
4 tests deep already.
Right. And as we record this on Friday, the day before UFC 251, he made weight.
Championship weight, too.
170. Lost 23.5 pounds
Championship
in
weight, 170.
6 days. 6 days.
No allowance, championship weight.
I think a lot of people out there are like, how the hell do I lose 23 pounds in 6 days?
Yeah. Granted, he's not keeping it off, you know.
No, but he's going to fight it.
He's cutting it. He's not losing it. He's cutting it.
Right. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So it's a stacked card out in Abu Dhabi. We're pretty excited about it. We're going to watch it tomorrow night.
We got a nice menu coming.
Huge menu coming. The menu is still in works, but so far
we keep adding to it.
I like the the foundation with which our menu has been built on. Our menu has been built on L&B Spumoni Gardens, which if you go to our YouTube, where we're also streaming, you can check it out. It's called The Best Pizza Ever Made. It was episode 1 of our Fat Fuck Adventures. We took a ride into Brooklyn, me and Billy, and we did a whole, we documented our time. You get to see the pizza. You get to see us eating it, the whole 9 yards. So check that on our YouTube. But tomorrow I'm going to take a ride back into Brooklyn, and I'm going to pick up a tray, and we're going to watch.
Gonna brave Faye.
I'm going to brave Faye. I am going to brave Faye. Faye's got nothing on L&B. Nothing on L&B. I don't care what people tell me. Faye can be as ruthless as Maximus or Maxwell or
Albertimus.
Blanche. Albertimus. Could be as ruthless as any of those. Or Dick. Hurricane Dick, for that matter. It could be as ruthless as that. But you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to brave it. I'm going to go into Brooklyn. I'm going to pick up a tray of L&B Spumoni Gardens pizza for UFC 251. I feel like 251 deserves nothing but the best.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest cards in a long time for the UFC. I think Dana White actually said it today. It's gotten more buzz, or just as much buzz, as Conor McGregor versus Khabib got.
Do you think this will pass a seven-figure buy rate?
I do. Everybody's home. What are we doing? It's hurricane. Hurricane on the East Coast. What are we doing? Or tropical storm, I'm sorry.
See, we always think that, but it goes with the names, you know. Some of these guys are still, to the UFC fans, huge stars. But none of these guys can pass that next level like McGregor does, getting the layman fans.
I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, the only people that really...
You also have to factor in that because of the pandemic, no bars and restaurants.
Right, but I think that bars and restaurants get a certain deal where now those people that would have gone to a bar and restaurant are ordering it themselves. Maybe quarantining, not going around to parties. So now more people order it individually.
And just catering food?
Like almost kind of like what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I think back to your point talking about none of the fighters on this card have necessarily transcended to the average UFC fan, we'll say. That's true, but to me, the average UFC fan is only connecting to maybe 3 or 4 guys. Conor, Khabib, John Jones, and Cormier.
See, even John Jones doesn't draw the numbers that are seven-figure buy rates.
There's a lot, I think that has to do with that. He hasn't been around in 2 years.
There's only one way to tell, but
yeah, I mean, he's fought. His last couple fights have been of recent, but before that he was gone.
I don't think he's ever drawn a million pay-per-views.
You think there's something to be said for that because he's almost too dominant? Nobody actually thinks it's going to be a good fight, quote unquote.
See, I don't know if I can answer that because I'll watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch every event Abu Dhabi and the UFC have to produce.
I've been watching since UFC 68, and I'll continue to do so.
All right. I'm actually new to the UFC game. You actually got me into it a couple years ago, but I've really kicked it into overdrive these last couple months ever since we started doing the podcast. But I think you have a point in terms of, whether or not these guys are going to relate to the average UFC fan, but this card has gotten a lot of publicity. I mean, I saw Masvidal was on First Take on ESPN. They've done a lot of segments about it on all kinds of sports shows. I mean, FS1, ESPN, yeah. They've covered it a lot.
It's
all
of
over Twitter.
It's what I was going to mention.
Huge. If anything, I think people are going to be curious as to see whether or not he can win this thing on 6 days' notice. Because
I was predicting it would be like a 600,000 pay-per-view buys.
Mm-hmm.
I think Masvidal might bring it up to like 900,000.
Okay, so it's not going to crack that 1 million, you don't think?
It might. For me, like I don't see how anyone doesn't buy it.
Yeah, I don't. Looking at the card, and we'll go over it, and we'll give our predictions for the card, and see which one of us gets closer on their predictions. We may even have some of the same picks, but I don't see how you could be a UFC fan, whether it be average or diehard, and not be interested in seeing this card. Not be interested in seeing Masvidal Usman. Not being interested in seeing Holloway and
even when it was Burns, there was a couple fights where I wasn't even now,
you had some issues right from the get-go with the bantamweight title fight.
Yeah,
you thought that there should have been some other people involved.
I had issues when it was Burns because it was Masvidal's shot first.
Right.
He was already training for Usman.
Now is Gilbert Burns screwed? Whoever wins tomorrow, is their next opponent going to be Burns?
I don't know. I don't know
Does
how it's
Burns
going to
just
work out.
get coronavirus and that's it. He's screwed.
I don't know if they'll find. Granted, it also depends on how the fight goes, because
there could always be a rematch.
if it's competitive and goes all 5 rounds, you got to imagine Masvidal gets and Masvidal loses. You got to imagine he gets a rematch.
Yeah, for sure.
If he wins, you got to imagine there's still a rematch.
It's also pretty wild the hatred that these two have for each other, Usman and Masvidal, and we'll get into that later on.
If one
when we
goes out and
preview the
completely
match.
outclasses the other, then I think you start to see other options like a Leon Edwards or maybe Covington again.
Now, in terms of bantamweight, I know you have been a big advocate, and me as well. I love the guy, Aljamain Sterling. I thought he should have been the guy that gets the next title shot, but it's not going to happen right away. It's going to be Petr Yan and Jose Aldo who get the first crack at it. And is Aljamain Sterling next in line? He claims on Twitter all the time that he is.
He's saying title fight or bust. Like, he's not going to take another fight.
Right, and that's deservedly so. I think he's earned it.
I think this should have been his fight because they put in Jose Aldo. Granted, he's one of the greatest featherweights of all time, maybe the greatest featherweight all time, other than also on the card, Max Holloway. But this isn't Aldo's weight class, and I feel like him winning kind of breaks up the momentum that this weight class has right now, when it's all young, just a murderer's row right now.
Yeah.
Because even, past 10th in the rankings, you got guys like Sean O'Malley.
Cody Garbrandt's still a factor after his dominating win back a couple
right
of
now,
months ago.
Garbrandt, another big win. He's in contention.
Throws himself right back in the mix.
So an older Aldo, I feel like, holds that up. Not that he's not willing, of the shot, but it was just a weird direction to go. And granted, he's never had a win at bantamweight.
No.
People think he may have beaten Marlon Moraes in his. It was a controversial decision, but
according to the stats, he lost.
It was a weird decision for me.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, a lot is going to be determined from what comes out of this card. So Jose Aldo, Petr Yan most likely is going to get a young buck like Aljamain Sterling next. And then we'll see where the card goes from there. Like Billy said, there's a lot of guys in that class that are young and upcoming, Sean O'Malley being one of them. He just cracked the top 15 rankings after his last fight, his last win back about a month ago. So that's an interesting weight class to me is bantamweight. But seeing this card, it's just best card in overall 10 UFC pay-per-views.
I would have to look at what.
And you look at the card as a whole, but thinking about the buzz that this has generated, I think it's probably up there.
Because
it's just a perfect storm to me.
So
for lack of a better term, with Faye hitting us right now.
I don't know what number it was, but the card with Joanna and Weili also had Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero. So on paper, that was huge. Granted, the fights didn't pan out like Joanna did, but Izzy didn't. On paper, that was really big. This is supersonic. It's really big.
Yeah, I could see that. It's going to be interesting to see. But I want to start off. I know you said you don't have much to say about this. The first fight that kicks things off on the main card tomorrow, but Paige Vanzant.
I didn't until I saw the odds.
Until you saw the odds, right? That kind of perked you up a little bit as we're trying to make a decision on whether or not we're going to play some odds on this and some bets on this. But the first fight that'll kick off the main card tomorrow night in Abu Dhabi is Paige Vanzant versus Amanda Rebus. Now, Paige Vanzant, clearly the bigger name. She's not to say a household name but going back to your point before, the average
you
UFC
could say
fan.
She's a household name. She was on Dancing with the Stars
and
everything.
So not for her UFC fighting, which you made a good point of before off the air, and you can get into it in a little bit.
She's one of the biggest names on the card.
She's one of the biggest names on the card, and she's probably the least accomplished out of every one of them. And it's not even close. And it's not even close. Yeah. So I think you gave us the stats off the air right before we came on. 8-4 overall as a UFC fighter.
Career.
But what he was saying before about the average UFC fan, everybody knows her. And you know her whether or not you're a UFC fan. You could be just a Dancing with the Stars fan and not even know anything about the UFC, and you know who Paige Vanzant is. So she kicks off the card tomorrow. A huge household name in terms of UFC, and then huge outside of the UFC. So, but in terms of her fighting, her odds, not exactly in her favor. She is predicted tomorrow. Want to give us the official number? I think it's plus 550, which is one of the biggest underdogs, definitely the biggest underdog on the card, and probably one of the biggest underdogs in a long time.
Definitely the biggest on the main card, for sure. I didn't look at, like, the prelims and everything.
Now, in a way, I understand the odds because Amanda Rebus has been fighting the last couple months, years, whatever. Paige Vanzant has a lot of issues with injuries. She's broken her arm, I think, 3 times.
Yeah, she's had a few surgeries.
Hasn't fought since January of
breaking
2019.
the same arm over and over again.
Yep, hasn't fought since January 2019. She's got some issues health-wise. I think that she had a baby somewhere in the mix.
No.
No? Was I wrong about that?
No, she got married.
She got married? Okay. So there's a
Had
lot.
a boob job.
Really?
I think so.
Is that's just
It's a rumor.
It started by you?
That's why she That's why she bumped up from strawweight.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yep.
She enlarged the old.
I think she was having trouble making strawweight beforehand, but they got bigger.
Interesting. It almost seems to me like Paige is preparing for life after the UFC.
I think she already has.
Yeah, but I think that
But if she wants to
if
be
she
a fighter,
loses tomorrow night,
if she
I
wants
think
to
there's
be
a
a
good
fighter
chance
and
that she
break
may
out of how, like, people think she's just looks, she has to win this fight.
tomorrow
as
night.
a
big
As
one
a plus
for her.
550, then she'll be 9-4, which isn't a bad record at all.
But she'll start to garner a little. Okay, maybe some of her household name status is warranted.
Step 1, win this fight.
Win this fight. It's a big one.
Not just by decision either.
It's a big one for her. The odds are not in her favor. Plus 550. So me and Billy discussed it off the air before we came on.
Maybe throw a
few shekels
little
on this
action
bad
at it.
boy.
Throw a little action.
For $100 a piece, if she comes out victorious in this one, we would clear about $1,200. You know, of course, legally. We're not going to advocate illegal gambling, but
As legal as you could do it.
as legal as you could do it. I'm going to try to maybe take a ride into the borderline of New Jersey tomorrow, place the bet, and then come right
that
back.
still works. Like, it's
Yeah.
just by your IP address.
It's literally your phone gives off a GPS, and where you are is how it works. If you are in the state of Jersey,
What do you use?
you can bet all you want. DraftKings, yeah. You can do FanDuel, DraftKings, but they all operate the same way, where your GPS basically tells whether or not you're going to be able to do it. It is what it is.
You're gonna end up on like a watch list tomorrow with this route you're pulling.
Yeah, because I'm sure I'm going to
You're
be
gonna
the
drive
only
over
one.
the GW in a pickup.
Yeah,
Stop, hop on a gambling site,
that's right.
turn right back around,
Bet on Paige,
drive to the southern end of Brooklyn, buy pizza.
pick up pizza, come back to Queens, Bayside, beautiful Bayside. Go into, I'll drive through Bayside, actually, because I got to go to Anthony's Coal Fire Pizza. Big shout
I
out
don't
to
know if
Anthony's.
this has happened yet.
We're going to pick up, big shout out to Anthony's. We would love a sponsorship. Pick up their delicious
Coal-fired wings.
coal-fired wings, topped with the peppers and the onion. Oh, delicious. First time I actually had them was with you and our friend Paul, who, by the way, shout out to Paul, picked out our studio today, picked out the lights.
Shows the lights.
They look beautiful,
It's a little-
blue and yellow, his choice. I think
Is it a
they're
little too bright
Massapequa colors,
on
which
there?
is his hometown. What's that?
Does it look a little too bright on there?
It looks a
can
little
fix it.
bright, but I don't know if that's because I'm wearing white. Does that play a factor? Get a little white balance?
Might be a little too bright.
Eh.
I'll
Anyway,
fix it.
good job by Paul. It looks good when we're in the studio. I don't know if it looks good to the viewer, but which is really the most important part. The viewer. But it looks good to us. So good job by Paul Bonanno. Shout out to him. Shout out to Anthony's Coal Fire Pizza. So back to recap my day. I'm going into Jersey, GWB, cross it, boom, $200 on Paige Vanzant. I turn around, I come to the southern end of Brooklyn, pick out a tray of L&B Spumoni Gardens pizza, throw that in the back seat, drive through Queens, go to Anthony's Coal Fired Pizza, pick up the wings, come back to Bayside, go to the Bayside Milk Market, another shout out, sponsor us. Pick up their delicious guacamole, some chips, their homemade tortilla chips, absolutely delicious. Bring that back, drop it off. I also forget, while I'm at Spumoni Gardens, I also got to pick up a couple pints of Spumoni. Okay, so all that,
Dessert. We got
throw
dessert.
that on the table. Billy and his girlfriend Lauren come over, and it's time to watch UFC 251, the moment we've all been waiting for to steal from Bruce Buffer.
We'll throw it to you.
I'm fired up. I am fired up. I have a big day tomorrow. I'm driving all around. I'm hitting states. I'm hitting towns. Everything. Brooklyn, Jersey, Queens.
Right through Faye.
Right through Faye. Faye is no obstacle for UFC 251. Maybe I'll document my whole trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be a nice vlog if people want to watch me
That's a serious adventure.
travel around, you know? Might not be bad.
It's a crazy menu we got.
I'll tell you what's really crazy is if Paige Vanzant wins and we win $1,200, kind of makes the whole thing worthwhile.
Now we are talking.
Now we're talking, huh? Come on, Paige.
$200?
$200, $100 each. $1,200. Lickety split, just like that. DraftKings.
What was it if we did her and Aldo? Because Aldo's a plus 190.
Well, now you're getting a little bit more.
It was $3,300.
So if you want to parlay it and do Paige Vanzant into Jose Aldo beating Petr Yan, all of a sudden now $200 if we win turns into $3,300.
It's that way for a reason though. It's a huge long shot.
Absolutely is.
Paige alone.
I would rather just stick with Paige. $100 each on Paige? Come on.
$50.
Come on. Sit there with a slice of pizza in your hand and root on Paige? I can think of worse things to do.
It's true.
Come on. Come on.
Hopefully she doesn't break an implant. Or maybe hopefully she does. What's the odds on that?
Wardrobe malfunction? Ever happened in the UFC?
Yeah.
It has happened?
Yeah.
Maybe like a nipple?
Yeah, some nips, some cracks.
Cracks, I don't really count. That doesn't really count.
It's you asked about a wardrobe malfunction.
That's not a wardrobe malfunction. That's another fighter.
Their clothes coming off is a wardrobe malfunction.
No, a nipple.
Their clothes are supposed to stay on.
A nipple popping out of the sports bra is a wardrobe malfunction.
Yes.
Think of Janet Jackson circa Super Bowl, whatever that was.
Most famous wardrobe malfunction I can think of.
Nipple. Don't give me crack. People see crack all
wardrobe
the time.
malfunction is
No.
You know?
Honestly, the only way for there to be a wardrobe malfunction in the UFC would be a nipple.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to see anything else.
And it's probably not going to happen to the men either.
Yeah, I just don't think I would care if it happened to the men, though. That's the only difference. But a nipple wardrobe malfunction for a UFC fighter, you would imagine would happen more. But it doesn't happen that often from in the times that I've watched, at least.
I know.
Now,
Ronda Rousey is talking about how many times it's almost happened to her in the middle of a fight.
Now, let me ask you a question. We'll use Ronda as an example here. Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, UFC, whatever the number. Ronda's grappling with Holly Holm on the ground. They're wrestling back and forth. She's trying to put her in a headlock, a triangle, whatever the hell they call it. And all of a sudden, Ronda, boom, nipple, out, pops out. Does Holly Holm give her an opportunity to put the nipple back?
Or do you might be girl code.
Or do you seize on the opportunity?
I don't know if girl code applies to cage fighters.
Almost like blood in the water for a shark. Do you see that nipple and you say, she's down?
Titty twister.
It's all fair play, right? Do you capitalize on the nipple and say, you know what, this is my time.
Elbow?
This is my time. She has to put that away.
As soon as she drops her hands to go to the nipple.
Boom. Boom. Right in the face. Right in the kisser.
Pow, right in the kisser?
Yeah. What do you think?
I would have to look at a rule book because maybe the ref stops. And
well, that just doesn't seem fair.
Well, think about how many times a mouthpiece comes out.
And they stop it, but a mouthpiece is not nearly as integral as a nipple.
Actually, I would argue that it's more integral than a nipple.
No, yes, you're absolutely right. I said that wrong. The mouthpiece is important, but the nipple is just embarrassing.
You know, it is pay-per-view. Actually, if it's on ESPN, 1,000% the ref jumps in.
But is it like the NFL where if you got the dreads coming out of your helmet, you could pull them? You could pull them. It's your choice. Absolutely. It's your choice to wear them like that. You could pull them. The nipple pops out.
See,
but here's my thing now.
I feel like there's a lot of error. I feel like the ref just jumps in and says, hey, her tits out. Pause right there. Maybe even if it's Herb Dean, he'll do a little action for himself.
You think Herb cops feel?
Mark Goddard might.
Let me help you there.
Mark Goddard might.
What? But seriously, we got to look this up. What's the protocol here? Because if a girl is getting dominated on the mat, like absolute, and same for a guy, we all about equality on the Garage Party podcast. If a nut pops out on a guy, which would be a lot harder,
the spandex too,
right? It would be a lot harder to happen. But is there a protocol where you get 10 seconds to put it back together, put yourself back together? But I got to imagine if a girl's down on the ground getting dominated, she's whipping out a nipple and saying, give me 10 seconds.
People do that with their mouthpiece. They sometimes,
Yeah, I know.
They might be breathing a little heavy and they slip a jab but they spit their mouthpiece out.
That's
get a quick little breather.
Yeah, that's just good strategy.
It's not good strategy. It's frowned upon.
Of course it's frowned upon, but it's good strategy if you're getting dominated on the ground and you have the ability to just whip out a nip. Whip it out. 10-second
Whip out
timeout.
a nip. Hashtag whip out a nip.
Give me the tea. Give me the tea.
Found the title for this episode.
Give me the nip.
Whip out the nip.
Whip out the nip. We gotta look that up. We gotta look at the UFC handbook. Like, maybe it's the referee handbook.
Because, like, if it's on ESPN, that, it's nudity.
No. Is it nudity if it's sports?
What do you mean if it's sports?
The Super Bowl halftime show, Janet Jackson.
Yeah, because it happened so
nip came
fast.
out.
Like, the nip may be seen for a second, but then they're going to cut away.
Would they?
1,000%.
What if that's the defining moment of the match? I don't think
I feel like the ref
ESPN
has to
Did you hear the language in the Michael Jordan documentary? You think they're worried about a nip popping out on a UFC fight?
Exception.
No. You think they're worried about a nip?
If it's like the first fight of the night, 6 p.m. on ESPN,
Okay. No.
people are eating dinner. You gonna see some nips on the television?
And how many American families out there do you think are going to be eating dinner and they're just going to start vomiting because they saw a nip on the UFC fight?
Zero. But
So,
it's still ESPN's job to prevent it from going out there on cable television.
Interesting. What about now we're slimming the odds even more, but if it's a pay-per-view,
Yeah, I think you have more leeway there.
I think you definitely have more leeway there. I'm just saying, Billy.
Then
Think about it.
Then it's just like
Think about
what's right and wrong.
I'm surprised there haven't been girls whipping out nips left and right just to give themselves a timeout.
It must not be an advantage then.
I mean, it's definitely probably frowned upon. It's extremely unsportsmanlike. But if you're getting dominated on the ground, and I know that I can get you off of me, instead of having to actually get you off me, all I have to do is whip out a nip, and the Herb Dean or Mark Goddard's going to call a timeout. Damn right I'm whipping out the nip.
Maybe yes or no feel you up.
You never know. But you'll get the 10 seconds off.
Take that chance. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, we're only joking, Mark. We know you wouldn't feel up Rhonda or Holly. But I look into it. Got to look into it. Have to. So anyway, plus 550 for Paige. I want your prediction for the fight. Give me your prediction for this fight. Obviously, if we bet,
Paige wins by knockout, second round.
There we go. Folks, that's what we call
spinning back kick to the chin, second round.
Okay, that's what we call wishful thinking, folks. But if we don't bet, he's got Rebus in 10 seconds.
No, not 10 seconds.
First round?
She's not really a finisher. I'll give her the second round though.
Okay. So your official pick, no bet.
I'll give her a second round by submission. Rebus. Amanda Rebus.
All right. You know what? I'm taking Paige. I'm taking Paige all the way. I think I'm going to bet on Paige. Hopefully we get that if I can get across the border tomorrow without being arrested for doing some illegal activity, even though it's completely legal in Jersey. I'm taking Paige whether we bet on her or not. I think this is her return to glory. Return to glory.
Imagine flying all the way across the world,
doing all this in 8 seconds.
First of all, they had to fly to Las Vegas. The American fighters, however, had to fly to Las Vegas, get quarantined in Vegas for either 36 hours, I think it was 36 hours, hop on a private jet. Granted, this jet was amazing, unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was one of those crazy private fly Emirates, with those beds.
Insane.
Seats.
You watch the UFC embedded, it's insane.
Yeah. And so now you land in Abu Dhabi. The air is literally water. You're in like a steam room. And then you're quarantined for 2 full days. You have to take 4 or 5 COVID tests during all this. And then you go into the octagon and get knocked out in 10 seconds. And then you have to do all that and then get home.
And then quarantine again when you get home.
For longer.
For longer, right.
I think like a week or 10 days.
That's right. Pretty wild.
Would you do it?
Yeah, of course. You know the money they're getting paid?
Some of them more than others.
And also, to be honest with you, I have never in my life had the desire to go to Abu Dhabi. I've never had the desire to go to the desert as a whole, with the exception of, like, Vegas. But Abu Dhabi being the real desert, like as real as it could possibly get. That and like Egypt are like the two main
It's
deserts
like
in the
Three
world.
Kings type shit.
Yeah, I've never had a desire to go there, but UFC's almost opened my eyes to Abu Dhabi a little bit. I don't think I would hate going there. I don't know what I would do there.
It's pretty low on my list. I would go.
Just to see it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you're gonna go, it's a 20-hour flight, so you better be there for at least a week.
What else is around there that you would even,
I don't know. Israel?
Dubai? Dubai is supposed to be beautiful.
Dubai is supposed to be fantastic, but I don't know if that's close to Abu Dhabi.
I thought it's in Abu Dhabi. Isn't it a city?
Are we talking about where they're fighting on Yaz Island? Because that's probably like a secluded thing, I would imagine, right?
No, it looks like it's pretty like in the middle of everything.
Let's Google it. How
Where
far
is Dubai in Abu Dhabi?
is
Or are they
Dubai
different?
from Abu Dhabi? It
We
is.
was in Dubai, man.
Okay, you could drive it. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's like going from here to
and
Jersey.
Dubai is in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's from Yaz Island.
No. Isn't this all Saudi Arabia?
Oh.
I think as a whole, it's Saudi Arabia. There's Abu Dhabi
Abu
and
Dhabi
Dubai
is
are
a
in
city,
Saudi
and
Arabia.
Yaz Island's a city of
I think
island,
it's an island of Abu Dhabi of Saudi Arabia. I think. Unless Abu Dhabi is its own thing.
Are they countries? Are they? I don't know these Arab places very well. Like, it's so much easier when it's like,
Mm-hmm.
Albany, New York.
Saudi Arabia
That I
is
know.
not Abu Dhabi. Interesting.
Okay, so where is Abu Dhabi? Is a country?
I guess.
Abu Dhabi.
It's the capital of the United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
So the United Arab Emirates
The UAE.
is a country.
All right. And then Dubai
is as well in the United Arab Emirates.
in the Emirates.
Shows how little we know about.
But look at like the landscape
About
of
any of
Dubai. It
this.
looks unbelievable. Like
Dubai looks beautiful. I think it actually has the tallest building in the world.
yeah, I think so also. Just like the structures are incredible.
I mean, you want to go? We can go.
I'll pass.
Garage Party Podcast in Dubai.
It's I wouldn't say no, but it's very low on my list.
I don't think I would say no either. It's the desert, though. What Can you sit outside? Can you go for a walk? Can you eat lunch outside at a nice restaurant? Are you gonna sweat your balls off?
I'm not great with the heat. We talked about this last episode.
I'm not great with the heat either. I hate the heat, especially that desert heat. And this is about as desert as it gets.
I feel like it's also humid too, right?
Here's a question: would you rather go to Dubai or Egypt?
Oh, Egypt, 100%.
I would rather go to Egypt as well. I feel like that would just be super cool to like go into like one of those pyramids.
Because also like they have a very nice modern city next to it.
Cairo?
Yeah.
Cairo is modern?
Have you ever seen like the grid of like, pull up Egypt? You got Egypt, and then it just abruptly stops right into the desert where the pyramids are.
Oh yeah. So
like
this is actually like a whole city.
Yeah, it's like it looks like Manhattan,
And then all of a sudden it's just
and then it's pyramids and the Sphinx.
wow. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's just wild.
it's awesome.
That is wild.
What's that flight?
New York to Egypt?
Yeah. Can you do that in one skip and a jump?
I don't know if you can,
Maybe
but
maybe have to land in like Italy or something first.
any guesses as to the flight time?
Is it well? Can you tell me if it's continuous? Is
I
it
can.
one?
It is.
Because if it's continuous, I feel like it's not that much further than just going to Europe.
All right, here we go. So we have flights. Would you like to take Emirates? I feel like that's a nice
Yeah, give me those baller seats.
book a flight. Book a flight.
Because if it's one flight, no
We
connections.
leave on Thursday, July 23rd. We return Friday, July 31st.
Yeah, put my credit card in.
There's 2 passengers. What do we want? We want first class, right?
Yep, all the way.
All the way. Search flights. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm going to ask you to guess me 2 things. I want you to give me the flight time, and I want you to give me the price.
Okay. I'm ready.
Whew.
I
don't know if you are.
I have my guess.
You have your guess in terms of the flight time? Or
Well, can you tell me if it's one flight?
It
or
is
2
one flight.
Okay, one
Yes.
flight.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 7.5 hours.
Longer.
Okay.
Not by much, though.
8 hours, 15 minutes.
Nope, longer.
Okay. So, by a good amount. I missed by at least an hour.
Yeah, you missed by, well, yeah.
Tell me now.
10 hours
Can't
and 30
take 3
minutes.
guesses.
10 hours and 30 minutes.
10 hours?
10 hours
I
and
wasn't
30
close.
minutes. 3 hours off. When you're on a plane for 7, what's another 3?
I wasn't close. You told
Come
me I
on.
was close. That's why I said
No,
45 minutes later.
In my head, I was thinking about like a 20-hour flight to Abu Dhabi. Like, it's not like that. No. It's
Okay.
10 and a half hours.
And then for price, I was going to guess
First class.
I was going to guess about $2,400 a person.
No.
Cheaper?
No. I'll tell you how much it is per person.
$3,200 a person.
No.
Really? Huh.
Really. First class, Billy. First class
When
on
have
Emirates.
I priced out real
First class on
class?
Emirates. I think you get like a bed. You get everything. Champagne
For 10 hours?
for 10 and a half hours.
Are you going to tell me?
You want me to tell you? Or you want me to take one more stab? Per person, me and you, we go to Egypt.
This is also very short notice. I guess I didn't factor that in.
We leave next week. You have plenty of time to pack.
We have to go
Yeah.
get vaccines and shit. too.
We do, yeah. Like malaria, and typhoid fever, and all that shit. Yeah. So anyway, me and you, 16,272 per person, 32,000 for the dose.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I want to put that on my Capital One card.
I'll have to give you an IOU. 275,000. Might want to hang on to that one.
Wow.
16
Egypt.
grand to fly first class on Emirates, which, in all fairness, is supposed to be the nicest airline out there.
Yeah.
Nicest out there, supposedly.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
You're going to get a bed. You're going to get champagne, maybe a little caviar. You're going to get pillows, a blanket. So that,
and you're going to get to
so that
Africa.
so that you won't get cold in the desert.
You're going to get a stamp on your passport. Africa.
Egypt is Africa?
Yeah.
Really?
100%. Come on, Rich.
You're sure about this?
1,000% pure.
Egypt is not its own. Boy, I'm really showing how.
It's the continent of Africa.
Egypt is a country.
Did you go to school?
But Egypt is a country.
Yeah. On what continent?
Egypt.
He's really not sure about this. Just zoom out on the map and tell me the shape of the continent.
Actually, Egypt is on the African and Asian continent. Egypt is a
peninsula.
transcontinental country, like Russia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Kazakhstan, home of Maria Agapova, my favorite UFC women's fighter.
This breakdown's going all over.
You
the
learn
place.
something new every day.
This breakdown took some turns.
All over the place.
Talking about popping tits and.
Whip them out. Whip them out, girls. 10-second timeout. You're getting dominated?
So
right out.
if we both throw. I'm trying to do my quick math here. If we both throw our life savings on Paige Vanzant tomorrow, we might be able to buy one ticket to Egypt on Emirates.
Our life savings. Then what are you considering your life savings? Like a 401k or to
just
throw
what
all that?
just what I have in the checking account.
Oh, okay. So what I have in the checking account, if we bet it on Paige, we probably would still need some help to get to Cairo. And that's with her winning. Yeah. No. Couldn't do it. At least not in first class.
Yeah.
So there you have it. There you have it.
But Paige is probably not going to pop a tit. I think the odds on that one were like plus 30,000.
Probably like 30,000 on a tit popping out. You know, can't win them all.
Jam-packed rest of the card, though. So it's a good card without some nudity.
Jam-packed. Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade. Following.
Big fight.
Following Paige.
Which I thought
Rebus.
originally was going to be, I thought it was like it was for an interim belt.
No, it's actually a number one contenders fight.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out who's going to be the next to face
Wei Li, who's in China.
Zhen. God only knows when she's going to be able to fight again.
And I think they're having another pandemic there now.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
So I wouldn't have been surprised if they called this an interim. In my eyes, it's almost like an interim belt. Unless Wei Li can, flee her country.
Mm-hmm. Cheese?
Thanks.
It's a UFC preview fight, Billy. Come on.
So we got Rose Andrade. We got Poiter Jan. Jose Aldo. One of the GOATs in Jose Aldo.
Shouldn't be there. Sorry.
I'm glad he is.
Shouldn't be there.
I would rather Aljamain, but I'd rather it be him over someone else who doesn't.
Anybody except for Jose Aldo. Somebody who's actually a bantamweight would be nice.
So, like, if they threw Garbrandt and just skipped everybody else, you would be
I'd be
all right
fine with it, yes. He's in the weight class. Why is this man getting a title shot when he hasn't won at bantamweight?
It was a close decision.
It doesn't matter. It's one fight.
I don't agree with it either. It's not his weight class.
No.
He's also kind of...
I think they just wanted to stack this card with names.
He is a name for sure. But
Definitely a name.
He kind of fleed the featherweight division because he lost 2 straight fights to Max Holloway. So learning that he couldn't beat the new king of that division, kind of jumped down division. You don't see that often where they go down. You see people go up. You don't see people go down.
Yeah.
And now he's claiming that this weight cut to bantamweight 135 is easier for him than it was at 145.
Right.
I don't see the logic there.
I don't get that either. I just don't really like... I mean, it's fine. He's on the card. It'll probably be a good fight. But...
He's one of the GOATs, for sure.
But not of this weight class. Not of this weight class. I just... It seems to me like they wanted to stack this card with names, which is great because that's what draws people. I'm fired up for it. I can't wait to watch it. But, like, he shouldn't be there in the bantamweight title fight. He just shouldn't be. There are other deserving people in the bantamweight class. And I think Aljamain Sterling has kind of, like, handled this very well. He could be, like, raising holy hell.
Yeah.
He could be super pissed off right now, saying that somebody's getting a title fight that hasn't even won in the weight class that he's dominated for the last couple months.
That's what I'm saying, though. If it's going to be anyone getting an undeserving shot, let it be one of the GOATs of the sport. You know, before he got started by Conor, he hadn't lost in 10 years.
In a different weight class. Why is he not
a weight class above?
But you don't just switch a weight class and get a titles fight.
I agree with you. I think
there are plenty of people
who've
been at
weight
that
cut
weight class.
may be to his detriment.
Yeah, I'm picking. I mean, we want to give our picks for the fight.
I'm going Poiter Jan.
So am I. And is this the end of Jose Aldo?
No, I don't think so. But had he gone up...
But you can't tell me that somebody's deserving of a title fight in a weight class where if they lose, they'll probably never fight in this weight class again.
With a loss, you may still see him. But I don't think he's got that many more fights left in him. He's also getting up.
Yeah, that's that's another point. What is he, 39, 40? Probably up there. Is easily to look up, but he's up there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Been around forever.
I don't know if he's that old.
He's one of the GOATs of the sport, yes, but that does not necessarily qualify you for a title fight at bantamweight when you're not a bantamweight fighter. He's actually much younger than we guessed.
34.
33.
Okay.
He seems a lot older. When did he start fighting in the UFC? 18?
Well, up until not that long ago, featherweight, none of that was even there. It was lightweight up for a long time. So he didn't come to the UFC until he was already an established champion when the featherweight division got added. So he was the first featherweight champion.
Yeah.
And then insert Conor McGregor into the division.
Right. I don't know. I'm excited for it. To me, he doesn't really deserve to be in this position. If you wanted to give him another fight, maybe add him to the card, but he doesn't have to be fighting for the title.
What I'm saying is,
give him a fight against somebody else.
Some of his credibility would have carried if he went up too.
That's what I'm saying. Also, like, let him prove that he deserves this first. Let him take out one of the top guys in bantamweight first, and then he can fight for a title against whoever would have win the interim belt this card.
But just keep slugging it out at featherweight too.
But that's not the course that they took. So this is what we got. We got Petr Yan versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, the underdog, at plus 170.
So now say Aldo wins
190,
and he becomes a new 2-division champ. Like, does that count? He goes down. Is that as impressive as?
Well, he's not the champion at.
He's held the belt at featherweight
before. Yeah. He doesn't right now, obviously, but.
And he'd hold the belt at bantamweight. So he'd be one of the few names who have held the belt at 2 divisions, like, Randy Couture, BJ Penn, Conor, Daniel Cormier, GSP. Is that as impressive if you go down, though? All those guys went up.
He's got a long way to go to win this fight, though. Anything can happen.
I think it's a close fight.
To me, this number is a little misleading. I think he's
Plus
much more of an I think he's much more of an underdog than that.
In Jan's favor.
Yeah, I think he's much more of an underdog than that.
I don't think so at all.
I do. He hasn't won at this weight class, and now he's going up against probably the best in the weight class.
He had a really close fight with Marlon Moraes, who even if it was Moraes and Jan, it'd be close to or similar odds.
If he had beaten Moraes, I would have said, okay, he can.
Some people think he did. I think those odds are pretty close. It's going to be a close fight, and you're going to be surprised.
I don't know.
Which is why you weren't in on the parlay.
I mean, I'm in on Paige, but now we're asking for a lot. Now we're asking for 2 upsets tomorrow night. Potentially 3, if you're asking for Masvidal to pull it off.
Well, I'm rooting for Masvidal to pull it off.
Will he be your pick? Stay tuned. We'll work our way up.
I think so. I think he is. We skipped the fight.
6 days notice, and
I mean,
you're gonna have him knocking off the champ, aren't you?
It goes towards Usman too. Like, think about the roller coaster of just his psyche for this.
But Usman has at least known that he was going to fight. Masvidal just 6 days ago was told you're gonna fight. When you think about the travel that's been involved, when you think about the coronavirus testing,
backtrack with me. Okay, you get booked to fight a friend and teammate.
Yeah.
You have to switch camps.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to go through all this pandemic stuff.
Yeah.
You get to Vegas, you finish your quarantine, get tested, and are about to hop on a plane. You get a call.
It's over.
Done.
Gone.
You hop back on a different plane, go to Dallas, Texas. You're waiting in the airport. You think you're going home to your daughter. Get another phone call. You got a new opponent. Yeah, you might be excited, but now you got to go back through all this testing. You got to get quarantined in Vegas again. You got to get quarantined when you get there. Then you have to make weight also. You have to get tested 4 more times.
It's a fair point.
And it's a dangerous opponent that you didn't prepare for.
But for all we know, Jorge Masvidal 7 days ago
I'm saying I'm giving Usman huge props for accepting this also. He could have said, no, that's not the fight I accepted.
Yeah.
And I didn't train for that.
But he's not going to do that because him and Masvidal have beef. They hate each other. And he's not going to do that. He seems to me like
the fight he wanted.
Right.
But just think about like that. Take yourself through that ups and downs. So mentally, he has to re-hype himself back up. He may have been cruising through camp. It may not have been as effective as a camp because he wasn't.
Well, in that case, that speaks
he wasn't
to how
fueled.
he feels.
He wasn't fueled by fighting Masvidal.
But if he was just coasting along, that speaks to how he feels about Gilbert Burns.
True, but it was also someone he knows well, and just not. He wasn't fueled by the hate for Masvidal. He wasn't fueled for. He wasn't training for that opponent.
There are certain things that Gilbert Burns does that Jorge Masvidal doesn't. There are certain things that Masvidal does that Gilbert Burns doesn't. So the things that he was preparing for the last couple weeks or months or whatever the case might be have been changed. Yes, but at least he's known that he was going to fight somebody. He may have had the opponent in mind.
Well, Masvidal was training too. He was in Dustin Poirier's camp.
Training, but are you training as hard? If you don't have a fight
Masvidal,
on
if
the
anything,
docket?
knew who he was going to fight next.
But he didn't think it was going to be for another couple months, if not longer.
He knew who it was going to be, and he was training.
He
was
knew
training
that
hard,
he
too.
knew his next opponent was going to be Usman,
Yeah.
or the champ of whoever is the champion in that weight class.
Well, him or Burn. Well, I think he still wanted Usman, but yeah, he was training like he was gonna fight Kamaru Usman when he was in the camp with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, that's true, but to
So
me,
it's not like he wasn't in shape. He was just he didn't cut weight yet.
Are you more likely to be unprepared having taken a fight on such short notice, or are you? Well, here's the thing. I'll say this.
You have to say that they both took the fight on short notice.
Well, here's the thing that I'll say.
Because they both did.
When Gilbert Burns went down with the coronavirus and Jorge Masvidal signed on and everything was passed, COVID tests, negative, the whole thing, he was fine, he's ready to go. When all that happened, all of the pressure of the fight shifted over to Kamaru Usman. Because now Jorge Masvidal, who's fighting for a title belt, is in a non-lose situation. Sure, he can lose the match, but it was on 6 days' notice. Who could possibly win on 6 days' notice? We're going to find out if he could pull it off tomorrow, and I'm going to ask you later on as to whether or not I'll ask you in a few minutes. But it's a no-lose situation for Masvidal. If he wins, obviously it's great. He wins the belt. He pulls off one of the greatest upsets of all time.
As long as he puts on a competitive fight, it's no lose for him.
It's no lose for him. All of the pressure when Masvidal signed on shifted over to Kamaru Usman. Now, maybe because Usman's the champ, he had a lot of the pressure against Gilbert Burns, but it wasn't nearly the pressure that he's got going against Masvidal. All of the pressure now is on Kamaru Usman. All of it. Masvidal, if he loses, it's on 6 days' notice. People will write it off, give him an opportunity to train for a long amount of time, and it'll be a different story. There's no lose situation for Masvidal. Now, my question for you, if Masvidal, and it's a huge if, like we just said, 6 days' notice, if he pulls this off and beats Kamaru Usman and wins the title belt tomorrow night at UFC 251, is that the biggest upset in the history of the company? 6 days notice coming in to beat a champion?
Upset.
Is it top 5?
Yeah, top 5 for sure.
Okay. Maybe top 3?
Matt Serra knocking out George St. Pierre was probably the biggest of all time.
So, but
then
not
you have
so much,
Nate Diaz taking the fight on 9 days' notice against Conor McGregor, and not only beating him but finishing him. That was one of the biggest. You had Miesha Tate beating Holly Holm. Holly Holm beating Ronda Rousey.
But a lot of those fights were scheduled. So let's try to keep it to short notice fights.
Short notice fights.
Now, I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, too, but is this the shortest notice that a fight has ever been agreed upon?
No.
It's less. There's been less.
There's definitely been less. Even at UFC, was it 203, 204, when Conor threw that hand truck?
Yes.
That took out the glass
at the Barclays Center.
That cut Michael Chiesa's eye. So Michael Chiesa had to pull out. So I think they found a new opponent for Pettis in that fight, and they found Ali Aquinta was supposed to fight someone also who had to pull out from that. So Ali Aquinta hopped in on 36 hours notice and fought the champion of Khabib Nurmagomedov. I can't say
Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov.
That's not right. Nurmagomedov.
Okay.
On 36 hours notice.
Nurmagomedov.
When he wasn't fighting for even a top 5 ranked opponent.
Okay.
But there's other instances like that too.
But this will
Anderson
be up there.
Silva, UFC 200.
Okay. But this will be up there.
That was 3 days notice. Jumped in for
it's huge.
Who did he jump in for? John Jones. It was John Jones tested positive.
This is almost like the pinnacle of what has been coming for Jorge Masvidal, being an average fighter for many, many years, finally having a resurrection of sorts.
He's always been good. Top tier
always
fighter,
been good. But he's really flipped a switch in the last
year. He was fighter of the year, and it wasn't even close. Right. It was like him and Adesanya. As our intern's banging his tail around.
Yeah,
probably hear that.
He's ready for Masvidal Usman.
But it just baits into the legend of Jorge Masvidal, who used to fight in the backyard, Kimbo Slice's backyards. You know, one of his most watched videos on YouTube and most, talked about street fights from that era was when he was sitting in the drive-thru of McDonald's, gets a phone call from Kimbo Slice himself to fight one of Kimbo's, what do you call that? Someone Kimbo is, has under their wing.
Protege?
A protege. And goes in and beats him. Just walks in at, less than an hour later and beats him in his backyard. Granted, it's like a barbaric thing to think about, but that just baits into that legend of Gamebred. That's why he got his nickname.
Yep. It's
Huge.
gonna be it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be a great card. I'm excited for it. Want to get into Volkanovski Holloway a little bit?
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too.
I am excited for that one. I like
big too.
Volkanovski a lot. I like him a lot. I think he's got a great personality. Holloway's cool too.
3 guys undefeated in the UFC. Jan, Volkanovski, and Usman.
All right.
They have losses outside of the promotion, but 3 undefeated in the UFC.
If you had to pick one
Who's
that on Sunday morning,
who's going to go?
Yes. Who's O is going to go?
Ooh.
Pick one.
Like, as a fan?
You want it to be Usman. You want Usman to
I'm
have
also
that
a huge
one.
Blessed Holloway fan, Max Holloway.
You like Holloway.
That's one of my guys.
I like Volkanovski a lot.
See, like, I don't think the fight was as close last time as Max thinks it was, because Volkanovski won 4 of the 5 rounds. So, granted, Max is an amazing fighter. I don't know if he could pull it off. So, if I had to pick as a betting thing whose O would go, I'd say Aldo wins.
Okay.
But as a fan, I want Usman to lose and Volkanovski to lose. I'm picking Holloway, Masvidal as fans. But if I had a bet, I'm going Masvidal, Volkanovski.
So you're predicting Masvidal to win all around?
Yeah. I am.
Yeah. He's all in. He's all in. You've been waiting for this for a while.
My official picks: Masvidal, Volkanovski, Peter Yan, Rose Namajunas, and Amanda Rebus.
All right. The official picks for me, I'm going to go Paige. I said that before. I'm taking
She
Paige.
can pop a nip.
She's not going to pop a nip. I'm going Rose Namajunas. I'm going Piotr Yan. I'm not a huge Piotr Yan guy, but I'm also not a huge Jose Aldo guy. Piotr Yan is fine. He's dominant. He's this. He's that. I don't know.
You just want him to pop a tit, too.
He doesn't.
You need some flair?
I would love it if he popped a tit. Most likely he's going to pop a tit, 2 tits, most likely, because they usually fight with their shirts off. So, Piotr Yan, whatever. He's not my favorite, but I'm picking him to win. I love Volkanovski a lot. Love him. I'm going to take Volkanovski to win.
The Aussies?
I love the Aussies. I love the accents. Big fan. And then I'm taking Kamaru Usman. And my heart wants me to take Masvidal because I think it would just be one of the coolest things ever to see fucking Masvidal pull this off after 6 days. But my mind is telling me there's no way Kamaru Usman is just a machine. And it's just not really plausible to think that somebody can come in on 6 days rest, fly literally across the world, and win. It's a lot to ask. But listen, Masvidal, if anybody can pull it off, it's him. But my official pick is going to be Kamaru Usman. I just think he's been preparing for this much longer than Masvidal has. Masvidal could say he's been training for the last couple months of the quarantine, but really we don't know. We don't know what he's been doing. No idea. Must have been in pretty good shape, though. He just cut 23.5
I think
pounds.
when it's Jorge, you do know. He's not the type to just come off the couch and do this.
I'm not saying he's coming off the couch. There's just a difference between training for a fight and training. If you know that you have a fight in a month, you're going to kick it into gear. If you're just showing up at the gym every day and sparring with your trainers, it's a lot different than training for a fight. So my official pick is going to be Kamaru Usman, but I really hope Jorge Masvidal pulls it off because I think that would be one of the coolest things that's ever happened in the sport.
And we will be watching very closely with a handful of snacks.
Snacks is an understatement. Snacks is an
A
understatement.
handful of gluttony.
I'll post it on the social media tomorrow. Our snacks that we have. L&B, maybe some Anthony's coal-fired wings, some Bayside Market guac, some chips, some spumoni. Quite a day.
It's unbelievable.
Quite a day. We should probably eat that before 10 o'clock, though, right? Or else we're going to be, like, dying. I don't know if I can eat all that food at 11 o'clock at night.
See, I feel like it depends when we get some of it. 'Cause, like,
Unless, should we be on the same time as them? Should we get our mindset into their time?
You want to stay up all night tonight? Is what you're saying? you want to not sleep tonight and
Play Warzone?
Yeah, I guess.
Play Warzone? Get on the same mindset as them? Fall asleep during Paige and wake up when the last fight
What
is
time
over?
would we have to...
We'd have to stay up tonight and probably go to bed at like 6 a.m. tomorrow. Get 8 hours of sleep, 7.
For what? Just to be tired when we watch the fights?
Yeah. No, we'd be well rested. If we sleep from like 8 a.m. until...
Oh, you're saying fall asleep at 6 a.m.
I'm
tomorrow.
saying right now we're awake. We stay awake until 8 a.m. tomorrow. Go to sleep. 8 hours of sleep. Wake up and boom. Fight start in a couple hours.
You're going to be making a mad dash to make all those stops we need to make.
Yeah, I'm only going to have a couple hours. No, I don't think so. I think I'll get a good night's sleep tonight because I got a big day. I got to run around all over the place tomorrow. Across the GW. I'm hitting states. I'm hitting cities. I'm hitting towns. Planes, trains, and automobiles tomorrow, Billy. Bets are being placed. Pizza's being eaten.
Fighting through this storm of Faye.
Faye got nothing on me.
It's got some
Nothing.
serious objectives ahead of him. We have big fights tomorrow.
That's right.
We have
Huge day. Huge day.
yeah, we have some research to do also.
What do you got?
We have to look up what happens if a nipple comes out.
It's a legitimate question.
We also have to look into funding our trip to Egypt. And we have to look into some naming algorithms for hurricanes and storms.
I'm telling you, I'm sticking by Hurricane Dick.
Hurricane Dick?
Yeah.
Tropical Storm Dick?
I would.
Did they name tsunamis? I don't think they name tsunamis.
Tsunamis don't really occur outside of
The Philippines?
Philippines,
That area.
and Malaysia.
When, where I was in Thailand had gotten wiped out by a big tsunami.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, a tsunami is the most dangerous out of all of them. Because a tsunami can literally just wipe out an entire town or
So
an
can a
entire
hurricane.
city, depending on
So can a hurricane or twister.
Of course.
Twisters are scary.
Twisters are scary. You know what? Tornadoes, a big fear of mine. Because you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, it's really scary.
I agree.
I'm not saying it sarcastically. I'm saying
No,
it's really fucking
I'm
scary.
legitimately scared of a tornado.
Would,
Like the eye?
see, I know what your answer is going to be. Would you be one of the people who would chase it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I think it'd be cool, but
You'd probably know my answer, too.
you would chase it.
Yeah.
1,000%. You would love it. You'd get out with your camera and take photos and hope for the best.
I would say that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but depending where you are, you might just wait a few hours. You might see another one.
I'm sure if you want to see a tornado, it'd be a lot cheaper to fly to Oklahoma than it would
Well,
to
see, like once I
Cairo.
get there, I feel like, all right, hop in the car, drive the other direction.
What do you mean?
If I'm filming it, taking photos of it, I could be further away. You know, use the wide-angle lens, use longer lens.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to be further away
And if I
from
get a little
tornado,
scared, I just leave. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like a tsunami. I can't photograph a tsunami.
Yeah, you just leave. I'm sure. It's not like people's lives have been destroyed by those before.
Like the
They'd-
hurricane,
Why didn't they just think to leave?
earthquake, the ground just comes out from underneath you.
That's
just
an
breaks
earthquake.
beneath you.
Yep. I've lived through an earthquake before.
I haven't. I've been to California a whole bunch of times. Never
I
had an
wasn't in
earthquake.
California. It happened here. It was like 2010.
Oh, actually, I was upstate for that. I remember that.
Yeah, I
happening.
remember that. Yeah. It's like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I didn't feel any of it though.
I felt it. I was in my bedroom playing Xbox, go figure. And the room just started to sway. And it didn't have a name.
Yeah.
Had I known to look out for like
it may have had a name. It may have been
Earthquake
Dick.
Barry, I would have been like, all right, well, now at least I know Barry's on
It may
his
have
way.
been Earthquake Dick.
Maybe. Earthquake Dick. Could have been.
2.0,
It's possible.
4.0. Hopefully, if you ask him,
Who?
the Earthquake Dick.
He would prefer it to be a 4.0.
Yeah.
Stronger the earthquake, more dangerous it is.
You think?
I don't think that it's a 4.0, though. Doesn't it go up to 10?
It's a Richter scale, right?
I think a Richter scale goes up to 10. I thought 4.0 is actually kind of mild. I think they go up to 10.
I thought 4.0 was like really strong.
No, that's the hurricane.
I
Like
know
a
there's-
Category 4 is as high as you can go.
No, like I think a 4.0 is like a strong earthquake though.
A strong earthquake, but there have been some like 7.9s and
Yeah, but the one that gave us tremors here in
that
New
was
York
probably like a 4 Like
You think it was a 4?
Maybe like
I
a
thought a 4 was
3.6.
like strong.
It was pretty strong.
I thought we looked this up one time. Like
The Earth swayed.
we were pulling up the numbers, and the one that like took down the World Series in San Francisco
that was like a,
I think it was like a 5.6 or 6.1 or something like that.
and that destroyed a lot.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So those 2 points. Is
So maybe like a
big difference.
Yeah, it's a big. It has to be.
Like, did a lamp even fall over in New York?
My room like swayed to the rhythm of the music.
And did anything
Swayed.
like break or fall?
Not in my place, but I know some buildings in the city were evacuated. You know, if you're in like a 80-floor building, it starts swaying. Guess what? You're gonna be nervous.
Yeah.
You got to get the hell out of there.
Can't take good pictures of it either. Just like
No.
underneath the earth.
I'd like to know how we're going to fund this Cairo trip. We're going to need a lot of sponsorships. We're going to need Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza. We're going to have to order a lot of wings tomorrow.
Hit us up. LMB at this point.
We've
Shouted
done
you
our
out
thing.
a lot.
We've shouted you out twice now, if not more. Maybe some more, actually.
You know, we're not even 10 episodes deep, so
and you've
the
already
fact
gotten
that we've spoken about it on at least 3 of them.
at least 3.
So
and,
it's
and a vlog.
It's
it
close
got
to
its
40% of,
our content
our
is based
content.
off of LMB Spumoni Garden.
and then we have a vlog too, yeah.
A whole vlog dedicated to them. Entitled The Best Pizza Ever Made. What more of a title do you need for that? What more do you need?
Just pay
Sponsor us. The Garage Party Podcast,
Or
brought
give
to
us free
you
pizza.
by LMB
Just,
Spumoni Gardens.
just comp us a couple
Mm.
Sicilians, huh?
They could.
Huh?
They could. I
Huh?
would take it. I wouldn't say no.
I know you wouldn't say no.
Wouldn't say no. Big card tomorrow night. UFC 251. We're going to enjoy the LMB Spumoni Gardens. We'll enjoy the Anthony's Coal-Fired Wings. I'm going to be driving all the way around through Faye. I'm going to different states, cities, and towns. Should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. We gave you our official picks. I will put up on our social media tomorrow what our final snack smorgasbord
Probably
looks like.
won't be a vlog up today, but we will probably vlog a little bit of our reactions.
Yeah, we had some plans
Of
to
the
do a vlog
fights.
today, but Faye unfortunately is not cooperating, so we're not going to be able to do that today.
Yeah.
But it'll be up soon.
Also, still haven't given you guys any content with the drunk goggles.
Yeah.
That's still to come.
That's definitely still
the
to
teaser
come.
is in last week's episode.
We wanted this episode to really be UFC centered, being the magnitude of the card. Things changing over the last couple of weeks with Masvidal being added on. We wanted to dedicate a whole show to that. So, but we're gonna get back once this is all done, said and done. The dust settles on this. We'll definitely figure out something to do with the drunk goggles. We've debated cooking with them. I don't know if it's good to use fire. I couldn't even see in front of me.
I
couldn't
tried.
see the hand in front
I
of my
tried
face.
playing Call of Duty with it the other day.
How'd that go?
It took me till like the last 40 seconds of the game to get 1 kill.
Wait a minute. You played an entire game with them on?
Yeah. I had to like lay down on the floor after that.
Yeah.
Because I got like crazy motion sickness.
Yeah, I could see that. Are you kidding me? Lunatic.
I got a kill though.
What was his back turned towards you? You just came up
I
behind him?
just didn't stop shooting.
And a bullet just hit
Yeah,
somebody?
just happened to get a kill.
All right. Well, I think that's episode 7, Billy. We're getting closer to 10. We should have a episode
doozy.
10 party, garage party podcast. We should have like a party with episode 10.
Yeah, how about like an episode 100 party
Could be.
with Paul Bonanno as a guest?
I'd like that. He could pick out the lights if he wants again.
He can pick out the lights anytime he wants.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
We'll give him the control of the lights. But episode 7, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Podcast for Paul Bonanno, the only one I think who listens on Google Podcast.
Follow us on Instagram, at Garage
Instagram.
Party Podcast, and TikTok at Garage
TikTok.
Party Podcast.
That's right. I forgot
Email
about
us
I forgot
at
about the
garagepartypodcast at gmail.com.
There's no at. It's just Garage Party Podcast at gmail.com.
I'm just literally saying email us at.
Oh, see, I thought you were talking to give like a Twitter symbol.
No. No. There's not an at.
Garage
before
Party
our
Podcast
Gmail.
at gmail.com. Shoot us an email.
Email us there.
We're
not
gonna
at there.
Yeah, we're gonna document our watching of the UFC 251 tomorrow. I'm gonna work. I'm trying to get a guest. I was so close.
I'm
this
glad
week.
you didn't for this one because I feel like
Yeah, me too. I'm glad because we were able to just kind of take it and run with it and do our
Yeah.
own thing. But I am trying to get us a guest. It's just I'm trying to figure out whether or not I tried to get us a UFC guest. I'm not going to say who I tried to get. I tried to get us. I may try to get us a food guest in the future to help us with the Fat Fuck Adventures. It seems like that's a good possibility of happening. So maybe in the next coming weeks, definitely stay tuned for that. But I think it's a good show. UFC 251. Enjoy it tomorrow.
Free the nipples.
Free the nips.